as far as like my relationship with someone above me, I am a incredibly well-paid, contracted 1099 employee of Amazon.
To begin,
speaking of status quo, let's get to Little Rhonda.
With a major shakeup, though, in the 2024 election. Have you heard? With the New Hampshire primary just a day away, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is out. He has endorsed former President Donald Trump, and now it is officially a two-person race to become the Republican presidential nominee.
The latest polling shows Trump with a big advantage in New Hampshire with just over half of the projected Republican vote. Nikki Haley is at just under 35%, but there's a potential path for victory for her. Tony is leading our team coverage in Manchester, New Hampshire. Tony, good morning. What's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. This is like the political version of the NFL playoffs. And
I do love New Hampshire because they do have an open primary, which means like Democrats can vote for Nikki Haley. And I think that would be awesome. Like independents and Democrats voting for Nikki Haley would be so fire. Because then there would be a little bit extra chaos, even though clearly Donald Trump is the guy, right?
And perhaps the last best hope for old school Republicans who are still dreaming for an end of the Donald Trump era, and for independents, too, who don't want to see another Trump-Biden general election. There are a lot of them. We're at Bookery, Manchester. It's a bookstore here in New Hampshire's biggest city. You might hear the latte machine going behind me. We've been all over the state, though. We've been ice skating in Portsmouth. We've been skiing in Guilford, grocery shopping in Derry. And all the time we're talking to voters, you know me, and they are as...
Would Haley be Biden? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. Not even a fucking question. Dude. If it was a Haley-Biden matchup, right now, with how much media coverage is being afforded to Haley by liberals who are like, want to present her as like a serious threat to Donald Trump, right now, she's like beating him by, I think, 8 points or something. Dude, Nikki Haley is beating Biden by 8 points currently. There's no better way to like, look, Americans are simple people, okay? We're fucking stupid. You put a woman up there, all of a sudden you're like massaging the narrative on abortion. It's more than 8 now. Nikki Haley touts 17 point. No. I don't think that's correct. I don't think it's 17. I think that's crazy. Yeah, Haley leads Biden by like 6, 5, and 4 points, which is really, really bad. There is no 18%. The Israeli left does more than the American left, hands down. What do you mean? That's not true. I mean, America is a massive country. We still have a shit ton of leftists in America that are, what are you talking about? We have significantly larger anti-Israel protests, pro-Palestine protests here in America. You just don't hear about it because it doesn't get any fucking media. That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Like, it's good though. The Israeli left in its existence is good. Please stop. Don't stop saying like, oh, there's only 6 motherfuckers or whatever. Dude, come on. They're directly at odds with their government that is a fascist government that is 1000% like demonstrated that it's interested in arresting them too. Didn't Elon Papa say that the leftist Zionists are the ones to be scared of because they hide their agenda? I've heard that before. You mean liberal Zionists, though, not leftist Zionists.
free thinking, really, as the state motto suggests, live free or die. And that's the wild card here. Independents, known as undeclared voters, are the biggest voting bloc in the state, and they are allowed to participate in the Republican primary if they so choose. So, even though Donald Trump does maintain a double-digit lead over Nikki Haley, she may still have a shot if she can turn out those people in the middle. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to hear from folks about how the economy is affecting their vote. It's not good. But first, we're going to begin with Caitlin Huey-Burns, who's also here in Manchester with me following the candidates' final arguments. Caitlin, good to see you. I know things must be getting closer because they're getting uglier.
Yeah, good to see you. Good morning, Tony. They certainly are. The race is almost here. And with just one day to go, the race is now down to just two candidates, Nikki Haley versus Donald Trump. And with that race coming up, they have really been ramping up attacks, knowing that this race could potentially be, for all intents and purposes, the last.
Can you hear that sound?
Hi, Hasan. Not sure if you covered it yet. The names of the lost SEALs have been released. I knew one of them. Damn. Pentagon names 2 SEALs lost in the raid in Arabian Sea. That's crazy. Listen, brother, RIP to your friend. That's American Empire, you know? Not really much I can say about that other than that. I see those photos they fucking show all the goddamn time from the destroyers of like dudes that just look perfectly, dudes, ladies, people that look perfectly within the age range of being a HasanAbi head, people that may have been HasanAbi heads at a certain time. And they're out there, you know, putting bombs inside of planes that are going and dropping said bombs on targets in Yemen. 30 plus? No. You people truly need help is actually so sad. What do you mean? I swear to God, if this election turns out like Veep, where Kamala becomes president for a couple months and then Nikki Haley wins the election. It's just like Hasan thinks he's the new Disney Club. The funny thing is that Israeli lefties seem to have much more institutional power, media like Haaretz, but no public support. I don't think Haaretz is like actually. I guess that's kind of strange when you think about it. I mean, they do have like Haaretz is a widely circulated newspaper that I would say is definitely more leftist than the New York Times is. Bro, come on. They have no power, but they are widely circulated. And yes, the majority of shit that they write is liberal for sure, and a lot of Zionism. But come on, they got like Gideon Levy. The New York Times, it's like, it would be like if the New York Times still had Seymour Hersh on a regular basis. Okay? Like, think about Cy Hersh still writing for the New York Times regularly instead of like, you know, deploying Substacks every now and then. Ours has no media value. No one read it. You can't compare to the New York Times. Haaretz has 4.7% of the readership in Israel. Isn't it like the third most circulated newspaper? Yeah, Haaretz isn't leftist at all in the slightest, not even liberal. Shut up fascist. Every time Levi writes an article, they followed up by someone refuting it. They literally publish a piece titled Hamas's genocide trap in Gaza to refute his latest article. That's how powerful the right wing over there is. It's basically a flex. Yeah, I mean, it's basically like me being able to give like a thorn on the side of Jeff Bezos hundreds of thousands of dollars in like direct donations, and Jeff Bezos still having me as like one of its top, you know, Twitch content creators on an Amazon run platform. It's a flex. They don't give a fuck. There's no real threat to institutional power. It's kind of like that. Haaretz can exist all day, every day, but Israel is a right-wing fascist shithole for the most part, politically speaking, so it doesn't matter. Newspapers in Israel are mostly Hebrew. Where is it? What does it say? Ha Lebanon. Founded by Yoel Moshe Solomon, a later founder of Petah Tikva. Okay, where is it? Where are the... here. TGI survey indicated that Israel Hayom, distributed for free, is Israel's most read newspaper, with a 31% weekday readership exposure, followed by Yediot Ahronot with Haaretz with 4.7 and Ma'ariv with 3.5. And I would say Yediot is like center right. Right? Wouldn't you say? Better ranking and circulation numbers here. Yeah, I mean, this is similar. It says Israel Hayom, Haaretz, the Jerusalem Post. It doesn't have numbers, circulation numbers for Yediot. Israeli center right or global center right? No. Israeli center right. You saying Hebrew funny? I can't speak Hebrew at all. I can't even fake it. I don't know how to do it. Yediot is center right, but anti-Netanyahu. Israel Hayom are the same, but pro-Netanyahu. Ma'ariv are right-wing as fuck. Yediot Ahronot is right down the middle for Israel, which means center right. Closest Israel has to the paper of record. Israel Hayom is a propaganda paper for Bibi. I can't believe the most circulated newspaper that is given out for free is pro-Bibi. No wonder there are still so many fucking Bibis out there, despite the fact that this dude's disapproval rating is like 85%. Jesus Christ, dude. Yo, if there's anything that is so universal, it is fucking hogs, okay? Class dynamics is obviously universal. You see it play itself out in every country, but it's also fucking hogs, dude. This is why Israel is so interesting to me as a country, because Israel's defenders in America are so progressive. They fucking hate Trumpers. They hate, like, they're liberals. Like, they're the most, like, omega libs who have just so much disdain for the right-wing shitheads. Okay? But then they become the right-wing shitheads when it comes to Israel. It's odd. Israel Hayom is owned by Adelson. Wait, Sheldon Adelson? Isn't he fucking dead? Or is it got to be a different Adelson, right? The Adelson family owns Israel Hayom? No way. I did not know that. That's crazy. That's gross. All right, let's get back to Ron DeSantis.
That's the sound of a two-person race.
Nikki Haley visibly upbeat after the announcement from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis Sunday that he was ending.
Sheldon Adelson is a freak-like demon. Rest in piss. I think he's a casino guy, right? Like he owned casinos before he fucking died, right? I think. Literal fucking, yeah, a Jabba the Hutt looking psycho. Just the scariest motherfucker out there. But, of course, because he was right-wing, the same anti-Semitic people that constantly were like, oh my God, George Soros, he's the real demon behind the, he's the real demon pulling the levers of power, simply just never talked about Sheldon Adelson's influence on the Republican Party in particular. Sheldon Adelson was also, of course, a huge Zionist as well. Genuinely like a terrifying figure. Just superimpose this song with like just footage of Rhonda. What was this? God, it's such good content. Oh yeah, I saw the delivery here.
Because the more you age, it just does, you have decline.
After the 77-year-old seemed to confuse Haley with former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi when talking about January 6th.
Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people, soldiers, National Guard, so whatever they want. They turned it down.
Still, Trump has the support of over half the Republicans in Congress, including New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik.
Does that mean that Donald Trump is the establishment candidate of the Republican Party?
No, it means that we are unifying behind him. That's where the voters are.
And speaking of voters, we talked to neighbors and longtime friends Doug Kraus and Kevin St. Pierre as they shared a beer.
I'm supporting Trump.
Nikki Haley.
For me, it's been Trump all along. I would like to see him dial it down maybe a little bit, but I applaud. I think he's an honest guy, and what he says, he did.
No, like, we love each other. So it's all good. I just laugh because when he says he's an honest guy, which I think opposite.
I wish that there'd be less, I don't want to say hatred, but people could do this and just have difference of opinion and keep it civil.
Yeah.
Joining Caitlin and I.
Yeah, bro, because you're both Republican. Like, what do you mean? Oh, man, our political differences are so huge, dude. I think when Republicans say that, they don't realize, like, there actually isn't that big of a deviation on a lot of issues. It's just that, like, you either have to be like polite racist and continue defending American imperialism and all this other dumb shit, or you have to be overtly racist. That's the difference between like friendships being, friendships continuing. Republicans are cruel because liberals are already looking at a cruel system and saying, oh, there's simply no other way to change it. Republicans want to actively make the system more cruel. That's it. Like, what's your problem? Just vote Democrat then, dude. What the fuck do you mean? Like, what do you mean you're voting for Nikki Haley? That I will never understand. It's not like Democrats are fucking actively, raising your taxes or anything like that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. You're just like an asshole, okay? They're bad already. The Democrats are bad already. You're a fucking asshole if you look at the bad Democrats and you go, no, I actually want to like kill gay people or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. This is why the conversation is so stupid. When like, do you actually think Biden is worse than Nikki Haley? Or do you actually think Biden is going to be better than Nikki Haley? Like, no, Biden is Biden. The Democratic Party is always going to be marginally better than the Republicans by the virtue of not being Republican. That's it. On certain issues, they might be worse, like Israel. I don't think that Nikki Haley would be any different than Biden on Israel either. I think she is also an ideological Zionist. But on domestic issues, I suspect that whenever you have another Republican, they just work doubly hard to actively undermine democracy, to actively undermine labor protections, to cripple the federal agencies from within. That's it.
Now to break down tomorrow's primary is our CBS News chief election and campaign correspondent, Robert Costa. Bob, good morning. Thanks for being here. All right, so Ron DeSantis drops out. He endorses Trump. He takes a parting shot at Nikki Haley, calls her warmed over corporatism. How is that going to affect the race? And what are you hearing about the timing? Why did he do it now?
There were discussions among DeSantis allies for a long time about whether he had a path ahead. And ultimately, there was an acknowledgement by DeSantis, his wife Casey, and his top allies that he just didn't have the money to go on, the momentum to go not only into New Hampshire, but into South Carolina, into Super Tuesday in early March. The timing now protects his political capital should he want to run again for president in 2028. Or
the difference is when you guys say capitalist, you mean not suffering. Like I'm thriving. As far as like my relationship with someone above me, I am a incredibly well-paid, contracted, 1099 employee of Amazon. Okay? That has no set income. That is simply basically paying Amazon a percentage of the revenue that I generate for allowing me to do it on their platform. Okay? But I make a shit ton of money. So I guess that's where I have every interest in defending capital owners, because that way I can get tax breaks. That way I can, I don't know, tell you to be grateful for my presence even. That way I could be like, oh yeah, what do you mean? Be grateful. I'm a job provider.
Or later.
Yeah, and Caitlin, Nikki Haley stepping up her attacks against Donald Trump, bringing up the age thing, something I've heard a lot about from voters. They are concerned. How can that have an effect? Is it too little, too late?
Well, New Hampshire is kind of a place for underdogs because it's fertile ground. You mentioned those independent voters. But Republican operatives I talked to say that she does still have a real uphill climb here. If she wants to make it close with Donald.
When they say that, they mean fucking stupid, by the way, which is pretty awesome. Like, it's such a kind way to say they're just batshit crazy. I'm sure New Hampshire chatters can also, you know, agree with me on this. I mean, remember, this is like the Bernie state, right? That's what it is. They love being fucking nutty. They love getting nutty with it. I thought that was Vermont. No, that's a different type of Bernie state. That's actually where he's from. I'm talking like a state that would vote for Bernie. As I've said before, New Hampshire is like, yeah, you don't have car insurance. You don't need to wear a seatbelt legally. New Hampshire is the most libertarian, most Arizona-coded state. The only difference is it's not in the South. Okay, it is literally the northeastern Arizona. And I guess there's a limitation to how like Arizona you can get with the weather and stuff.
Trump, she really has to overperform among independent voters, and it's a nuanced group. If you remember, Donald Trump actually won independent voters in 2016, and he won the nomination, and the rest is history. So,
you know what's really sad? I know Bernie Sanders is really old, and I know Joe Biden's age is like one of the major problems. But in a world where like maybe Bernie was a little bit younger than Joe Biden, this would be the perfect election for him to run the second time. Not the last one, but this one. Literally, people are so horny for anyone. Here's how Bernie could still win. Stop. I'm not saying that, okay? But I am kind of saying that. Even though he is like dick riding Israel to oblivion and kind of tarnishing his legacy big time by having his like last actions on this earth before he fucking passes away after like 800 years of service to socialism and the American working class. He's ending it with one final American imperialist huzzah.
she's been stepping up the attacks, but I will say undeclared voters I've been talking to want to see her be more aggressive.
Even more so.
Even more aggressive.
Go ahead. You know who else is watching? Donors. Yeah. They want to see if Haley can perform here or overperform, as Caitlin said, then they will start to pour millions into her campaign, try to set her up for Super Tuesday.
Okay, so that's the messaging, that's the money part of things. But Caitlin, you've also been talking to voters about the issues that matter to them. Put the horse race over here. What do people care about?
Well, we are several thousand miles away from the southern border, but immigration is coming up over and over again among Republican voters I talked to.
I'll be able to run for election next time around, Chad. Don't worry. I'm going to do it. I will be dead by then, so I won't be running.
Mainly because of fentanyl and the opioid crisis here. Also, just generally, Tony, talking to voters, you sense this real pessimism about the future, about the way things are going. People on both sides that I've talked to want something different.
Yeah, it is deep. It is abiding. And Bob, I am curious, you know, is this make or break for Nikki Haley? If she takes second place in this distant second place, is she done?
The margin people on the inside of politics are watching is, can she get single digits? If she's within 9 or less of Trump, maybe she can carry on and have a case. But if she's 10 more behind Trump, it's hard to say she really has a path to the nomination. At this point, though, for Haley, she still thinks she has strength in her home state of South Carolina. So if she gets, 10 or 12 points behind Trump, she still may decide to stay in the race and hang tough.
All right, Bob, Caitlin, thank you both very much. Really appreciate it. Guys, as I send it back to you in New York, I used to work in a coffee shop. I might hop behind the counter, make a few cappuccinos. One more thing I want to point out. The union leader here, newspaper in Manchester, I get endorsements aren't what they used to be from newspapers, but they had a very colorful one yesterday. They quoted Jurassic Park, the movie, always a win in my book, and said Biden and Trump are dinosaurs. They endorsed Haley and said she's the, quote, fireball from the heavens to wipe them out. Points for color.
Support local news. That's my reaction to that, Tony. And I support you getting behind the counter and brewing up some.
I love leftists who every election cycle come in and say, any thoughts on Claudia de la Cruz? What do you think about the Party for Socialism and Liberation?